Coming in at number 10, we have Aaron Taylor Johnston. Just after the movie Bullet Train hit theaters, Brad Pitt's co-star, Aaron Taylor Johnston, had a lot to say about the 58-year-old co-star Brad Pitt. He even revealed that his humble and gracious human being has a list of actors he refuses to work with. He's in a new chapter of his life. I think you work with many actors, and after a while you start making notes. I'm definitely not working with this person again. Brad has this list too. The good list and the bad list. True, not everybody gets along with each other on set, and Hollywood has a history of co-stars clashing. So if Brad Pitt is looking to keep himself out of drama by eliminating people he doesn't want to work with, then more power to him. There's no doubt that Aaron and Brad had a great working dynamic from what we can see in the movie. Let's just hope these two don't have each other on the bad list and they're on each other's good list so we can see them work together in the future. Coming in at number 9, we have Mark Forrester. It's claimed that since 2012, Mark Forrester and Brad Pitt refused to talk to each other, and probably for good reason. It's said that the relationship between the actor and director broke down to a degree that when they were filming the zombie apocalypse film, World War Z, the two had to communicate through third parties on set. With the film working on a tight deadline and the script being finalized and release dates being pushed back, and Pitt having final approval over new pages written by the writers, things definitely got a little heated on set. Why Pitt wanted to salvage the end of the movie, Forrester wanted to scrap it and make the ending more simple. When Mark opened up about the drama, he said he believed he wasn't the problem in the first place, and rather than chucking more CGI at the problem, Mark stuck with his gut and basically kept pushing till the problem went away. So kudos for him for having the strength to do that. At number 8, we have Tom Cruise. Now, the pair starred in the 1994 film Interview with the Vampire. Pitt stated he couldn't stand working with Tom Cruise and that he found him annoying. Brad also noted that while they were filming the film, the actor felt miserable and that Cruise bugged him so much, it came to the point he started to resent him. The filming was so bad, at one point Cruise even tried to get off the film by asking the producer and film executive, David Geffen, how much it would cost, and David told him $40 million. Ultimately, Cruise decided to stay on the film, and the finished product shows that Pitt and Cruise had tension as both appeared to look exhausted. With the new Maverick sequel hitting box office, Tom wasn't shy to remind folks that he's back on top in Hollywood while his past co-host is nowhere near. Number 7, we have Harold Ramis. Bill Murray had a long decade estrangement from his longtime friend and collaborator Harold. Sadly, the two's friendship collapsed while on set of the film 1993 Groundhog's Day. During a heated creative dispute, Harold said he grabbed Murray's shirt collar and the two got into a heated altercation. In a book later released by Harold's daughter Violet titled Ghostbusters' Daughter: Life of My Dad, Violet would go on to note that the incident happened and Murray wouldn't speak to Harold for over 20 years, and even though Harold tried not to take it personally, he was ultimately left feeling heartbroken and confused about the unsurprised rejection. Murray was unheard from up until Harold was in the hospital, and Murray showed up to visit his old pal unannounced at 7 a.m. in February of 2014 with a box of donuts and a police escort. With Harold losing his ability to speak, he was no longer able to speak to Murray before his passing. However, Murray didn't mind and hung out with Harold for a couple of hours anyways. I'm glad Bill was able to put the two's differences aside and came together for his friend before his passing. Number 6, we have McG. Moving on to the set of Charlie's Angels, filmed in 2000s, director McG, whose real name is Joseph McGinty Nicol, claimed in an interview with Guardian in May of 2009 that working on movies can be pretty stressful at times, even adding that he doesn't think he's ever been on a film that hasn't had some type of altercation break out. In one incident, his nose was obliterated when his head collided with another. At first he didn't want to recall the name of the actor with respect, however he went on to say it was Bill Murray. And the industry is very passionate industry, and people take care of their own work. When Murray heard about the interview, he did his own interview with Times of London in October 2009. The star went on to note that Joseph has a really active imagination and he doesn't understand why he would make up that story. He then took to the situation further by stating a really serious sentence that made many feel uncomfortable. With Joseph coming forward about his experience in past film sets encountering the same situation, it's easy to see why Bill would lie to cover up the allegations, but now that more stars are coming forward, it's clear that McG had nothing to lie about and was warning us all about the actor before these events could happen again. Number 5. Angelina Jolie. Addams Family star Angelina Jolie was essentially hurt by Bill Murray's behavior on set of Wes Anderson's 2004 film. Angelina said Bill was horrible after working with him, and in May of 2017, Houston told Vulture that during her first week of set, Bill invited the entire cast for dinner except for her. She went on to say that everyone went out for dinner a little dog-faced at the fact she wasn't there or had been invited, and throughout the day they were telling her, "Oh, you know, we really don't want to go," but they all went otherwise. The whole situation really hurt Angelina. With the film being shot all over Italy, Angelina noted that she didn't see Bill again until they were on set to shoot in Florence. When she entered the set, Bill greeted her and asked her how she was and even said, "I miss you." In the heat of the moment, Angelina looked at him and said he was full of it and told Bill that he didn't miss her. Murray is said to be confused for a moment but was unfazed by the comment. Angelina showed us that Bill didn't care about his castmates and he wasn't afraid to single them out and make them feel unwanted in many situations. Number 4, we have Richard Donner. In the 1988 film Scrooge, directed by Richard Donner, follows Bill Murray as he plays a selfish, cynical television executive, Frank Cross, as he's haunted by 3 ghosts on Christmas Eve. Being the first film that Donner and Murray were set to work in together, Donner was worried because he didn't know if the pair would get along. And considering Murray's past behavior on other sets, I don't blame him. With Scrooge being a box office success, Donner came forward to say that Murray was a super creative actor, but occasionally was difficult to work with. He also noted he was only as difficult to work with as any other actor. Cast and crews have gone on to say that the source between the rift between Donner and Murray was mainly because Murray's approach to acting is fully under the approach of method acting. When on scene, Murray has an approach that is somewhat wild and reckless, which can pose difficulties for actors and directors who are more comfortable with working in more traditional methods. With there being 2 sides to every story, Murray went on to say that the two had a disagreement over every single minute of the day because Donner demanded for lines to be delivered louder. Despite their differences on set, the two were still able to work it out and create an amazing film, which is still today's best holiday classic films to watch for the Christmas season. Number 3, we have Leonardo DiCaprio. Before the 2019, when the pair filmed Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it said that Leonardo DiCaprio actually had a restraining order against Pitt, and ultimately that's why they didn't star any films together before 2019. In an interview, Brad joked that an incident they were no longer like to talk about happened as a result of the pair not getting along. In 1994, when Pitt was engaged to 90s blonde icon Gwyneth Paltrow, it said that Gwyneth broke Brad Pitt's heart when she ended their engagement, and after the breakup, it's rumored that Gwyneth was seen with Leonardo DiCaprio, and the pair was seen together. This obviously didn't sit well with Pitt, and his actions were pretty questionable towards DiCaprio, causing the restraining order to be put in place. However, in 2019, the stars both squashed their beef and are now said to be the bestest of friends. Number 2, we have Mike Tyson. Brad Pitt has always been in the headlines when it comes to his relationships, and this particular fling, no one saw coming. In 1988, Mike Tyson explained he was seeing now ex-wife Robin Givens when he caught Robin and Brad together. Tyson claimed he was mad and hurt by the incident, and he and Robin shortly after finalized their divorce. While Tyson claimed he was hurt by the whole ordeal, he also noted that he holds no ill feelings towards the top-ranked actor. Number 1, we have Angelina Jolie. Now, Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt have had an ongoing feud since their split in 2019. 2016. With the two being locked in a messy court battle for divorce, the custody of their children, Angelina recently brought up some completely shocking allegations against Pitt that haven't been discussed to the public before. The allegations claim Pitt was passionately aggressive, not only towards Jolie, but their children as well. While Pitt has decided to remain silent on the new allegations, Angelina is definitely set to expose more allegations to the public soon, which is definitely going to be hard for Brad Pitt to bounce back from this one. Number 10. Chevy Chase. In 1978, Murray infamously got into a physical altercation with Chase Chevy. After the star returned to Saturday Night Live as a guest host, it began with the two trading some pretty heavy insults towards each other. It started when Murray telling Chase to go get with his wife, and Chase responded by telling Murray his face looked like something Neil Armstrong landed on. The insults seemed to escalate as quickly as their comebacks did, and television following the rest of the cast watched the two display in a physical altercation. Larnie Newman noted, "It was a very sad and painful thing to watch unfold during her appearance on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen in June of 2021. In May of 2012, Murray called his part in the scandal a childish feeling of jealousy and anger he let control him. He went on to say things that he was mad that Chevy left the cast of Saturday Night Live and Murray somehow was avenging Angel, who had to speak for everybody else. Chevy and Murray are soon back on good terms after the fiasco, and everything was fine as the two starred together in the 1980 comedy Caddyshack shortly after the altercation. Number 9. Richard Dreyfuss. Oscar winner Richard explained when he was working with Murray on the 1991 film What About Bob that Murray was a bully. He explained that Bill drank a lot at dinner and let his true colors showed and allowed everybody to see how much of a bully he was. When reflecting on his whole experience on set, he highlighted one incident where he asked Murray to read a tweak in the script and Murray lost his temper. He went on to say that the star became face to face with him, so close that their noses were touching. Murray then went on to scream at Richard at the top of his lungs and said, "Everybody hates you, you are tolerated." Richard then went on to note that he had no time to react because Murray then proceeded to throw an ashtray at him. Luckily the ashtray missed, and rather than making things worse, Richard decided to leave the room. Richard showed us that Murray has a violent past, not just with female co-stars, but also with his male ones. Number 8, we have Laura Ziskin. Richard Dreyfuss wasn't the only person who had problems with Murray and how he handled himself on the set of filming What About Bob. As producer, Laura Ziskin has said that she once had a disagreement with Murray which resulted in him tossing her into a lake. Although at the time she called it playful, in 2003 she claimed the event wasn't so playful, as throughout the set Murray started to become more aggressive. In one incident, Murray asked Laura for an extra day off, and when she said no, he had an epic meltdown and took Laura's glasses off before breaking them and throwing them across the parking lot. The altercation caused everybody to walk off production, and a bunch flew back to LA to film, only after Disney hired some bodyguards to physically separate Murray from harming anyone else between takes. Bill Murray tried to justify his actions in an interview back in 1991, saying he didn't get along with many of his cast and directors, and all he was doing was standing up for himself.
Number 7. Failed music career. Miller's passion for singing didn't end after they began pursuing their acting career. Their band, Sons of an Illustrious Father, has over 22,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, which means that despite Miller's fame and notoriety, the band hasn't really seen much success over a decade of making music. So things started to make sense when in May of this year, 2 musicians came forward accusing Miller of stealing music they worked on and releasing it without giving them credit. Music producer Oliver Ignatius and rapper Guy Scavera claimed that the actor stole the music they worked on together and posted it to social media without credits. Ignatius met up with Miller in both the Northeast and Hawaii to collaborate on new music, but soon realized that they, quote, seemed to be on a very dangerous spiral, and said that working with the actor actually felt like pulling teeth. In fact, they called their behavior atrocious, belligerent, threatening, and incredibly aggressive. But after Ignatius quit the project, Miller then posted the unfinished music online, including songs that they had not worked on together at all. Now Ignatius plans to file a court order for Miller to take the music down. Number 6. Altercations with fans. The Flash actor has had so many disturbing and at times violent altercations with fans that there's almost too many to mention. One was actually captured on video in 2017 at a San Diego Comic-Con event, when a fan jokingly asked Miller to smell their breath, and Miller responded by kissing the fan directly on the mouth, planting a big kiss on the man's lips without clear consent. The trouble is that Miller seemed to be slightly intoxicated in the video, leading fans to question if they were drunk. And in a since deleted tweet, a disturbing video shows Miller choking a woman at a bar in Iceland. The incident took place after Miller was approached by a group of eager young fans, and the actor appeared to lose their temper at the young woman for no apparent reason. She was then grabbed by the throat and thrown to the ground. But the actor seemed to have evaded a lot of heat for the altercation, as some fans claim that it's still a joke. Number 5. Vermont farm. Up until now, people have only been able to speculate about what really goes on in their Vermont farm. But recently, a new report has made headlines alleging even more concerning activity involving the actor and people that are underage. According to Rolling Stone, Miller is currently housing a 25-year-old mother and her 3 young ones at their elusive home that they share with their bandmates and friends. The report suggests that the property doubles as an unlicensed farm, which grows a certain leafy green substance and is also littered with weapons. The mother claims that the actor helped her escape the domestic violence that was occurring in her relationship, telling Rolling Stone anonymously that Miller's home has been a healing haven for the family, but the young ones are reportedly exposed to a large amount of smoke from the illicit substance in poorly ventilated environments, and sources who've been inside the property say that there are about 8 weapons of various sizes just lying around the living room, with some propped up next to a pile of stuffed animals. One source told a particularly disturbing story about one of the little ones finding a loose bullet and putting it in their mouth. Number 4. Mia Solange. Miller has been accused of inflicting twisted acts upon a former intimate partner, Mia Solange. These acts range from physical violence to emotional manipulation after they started dating in 2019. This claim against Miller came to light on April 1st when a Twitter account dedicated to Ezra Miller receipts made a number of messages public exchanged between themselves and the accuser, a young TikToker by the name of Mia Solange, where she declared that Ezra flew her from Hawaii to Oklahoma to work on a movie, and that she was only 19 at the time. She also sent a photo of bruises on her leg supposedly sustained from Ezra, claiming that he would aggressively bite her. Solange's claims against Miller would garner more widespread attention on April 23rd after they shared a now deleted video montage to TikTok featuring photos of the two, most of which were previously seen in the screenshot of their camera roll, and declared, quote, "Ezra Miller is not a good human, and I can finally say so without being terrified." Sounds like it was an absolute nightmare.
Number 3. Gina Davis. On the 1990 film set of Quick Change, Gina Davis explained how she was harassed and that she should have walked out. In her memoir titled Dying of Politeness, the Oscar-winning actress highlighted the actor once screamed at her on set for being late and continued to yell as he followed her to her trailer on the set. The altercation happened in front of a large crowd, cast, crew, and onlookers, but the star noted she should have walked away from their first meeting or profanely defended herself so she wouldn't have gotten the part. Davis and Murray first met in a hotel suite where he continued to try to use a massage device on her throughout her audition after her initial refusal. Davis explained she could have avoided the inappropriate treatment if she knew how to react or what to do during the audition, but she also didn't want to appear hard to work with, so she stayed quiet. She then went on to say that there's no point in regretting things, yet she's still here regretting it. This isn't the first time Murray has been linked to inappropriate behavior, as recently on the Searchlight Pictures suspended the production of Being Mortal after allegations surfaced of Murray engaging in an inappropriate way towards other cast members. Murray tried to defend his actions by saying, "I did something funny and it wasn't taken that way." Number 2. Jennifer Butler. On October 12, 2008, Jennifer Butler filed for divorce from Bill Murray, while alleging that their relationship was brutal and uncomplimentary. After 11 years together, the couple's relationship ended with both parties being accused of ugly behavior that played out in front of the press. While filing for divorce, Jennifer also requested at the time that there be a restraining order placed against her husband. While Bill's lawyers did come out to say they couldn't comment on the fact of the case, they did say Bill was deeply saddened by the breakup, and Jennifer Butler's accusations against her husband showed that Murray was aggressive both on and off set, and that her story should have been the reason the star was cancelled years ago before this mess got any worse. The two remained loving parents to their 4 children, and would remain that way on best behavior for the best interest of their children. Number 1, Lucy Liu. Lucy's experience with Bill on the set of Charlie's Angels was truly heartbreaking, considering the stars showed amazing chemistry on screen. However, Lucy went on to say that she got into an argument with Murray on set, and he started using language that was inappropriate and unacceptable. On the Los Angeles Times podcast, Asian Enough, Lucy said that during the confrontation, she stood up for herself and did not regret doing it. The star went on to note that no matter how high you get on the totem pole, there's no reason to put other people down. Liu went on to say that the clash came during a rehearsal on a scene which had recently been reworked. Bill was unable to come because he had to attend a family gathering, and when he learned about it, he was upset and hurled insults at her. Lucy definitely wasn't having it, and she definitely wasn't going to sit around and be talked to in a degrading language, so she decided to speak up for herself and stand by the one thing she had, which was her self-respect and dignity. Murray later downplayed the incident by saying, "Look, I will dismiss you completely if you are unprofessional in working with me. When our relationship is professional and you're not getting that done, forget it." Since the incident, many crew members who were on the set have told Lucy they're really grateful for what she did. Lucy then went on to say that since the film, her and Murray reconciled and that they have nothing bad to say about him. The two started talking at the Saturday Night Live reunion, and he was perfectly nice to her, but she also noted she would no longer sit around and be walked all over. Like Lucy, many stars have addressed their concerns about Bill over the years, and Hollywood should have been keeping an eye on it before matters got worse.
Number 10, Fantastic Beasts 4. The new movie has technically already been planned by Warner Brothers, but it hasn't officially been confirmed, and the future of the franchise looks bleak, partly due to Miller's erratic behavior. Before the release of The Secrets of Dumbledore, Variety reported that the studio was waiting to see how the 3 films were received before making the tough decision about whether or not to go forward with the remaining 2 movies. But at this time, the major Ezra Miller problem that the studio has on their hands is dampening the future success of all the DC Expanded Universe projects until a firm decision is made about how to handle the star's offset issues. The actor has starred in all 3 Fantastic Beasts films, playing Credence Barebone, and is also set to headline the upcoming Flash movie. However, due to the actor's legal woes, the filmmakers have decided to drop them in the spin-off film. And with the other controversies surrounding the Fantastic Beasts trilogy, including J.K. Rowling's anti-trans comments, it's clear that any planned sequels are more or less dead in the water. Number 9, Very First Arrest. In June of 2011, Miller was a passenger in a vehicle that got pulled over for a broken brake light in Pittsburgh while shooting Perks of Being a Wallflower. Police found 20 grams of a leafy green substance on Miller, and the then 18-year-old was charged with possession. The judge was very lenient though, and after giving them a lecture about influencing the younger cast members, he let them off with a slap on the wrist and dropped the case altogether. The actor instead faced 2 citations of disorderly conduct and was ordered to pay $600. But it's clear that Miller wasn't very sorry, as several years later in 2018, they started smoking the very same substance during an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. They also went on to tell New York Magazine, quote, "It's a harmless herbal substance that increases sensory appreciation," also making it known that they first started smoking from a very young age. Number 8, Strange Comments. In 2011, the star took the role of a teenage school shooter in We Need to Talk About Kevin, which was eventually dubbed one of the most controversial movies ever made, probably because the subject matter was just so disturbing. Miller went very deep into the role of a sociopath with method acting, and the ultimate result was a character so unsettling that they said it even bothered some of their friends. Quote, "I do get a certain kind of validation and gratification from the way people will sort of approach me tentatively, with a little bit of fear after they see the film. The admission by itself is not that strange, but when you look look at Miller's interview with Vogue several years later, they asked the writer if she would like to see the crossbow that their character used to attack several classmates in the same film. They apparently keep the crossbow in their house and jump at the opportunity to show it to anyone who asks them about the movie.
Number 7, we have Harrison Ford. With claims that the devil was with them both, rumors started circulating that both Harrison and Pitt didn't get along while filming The Devil's Own, with Pitt noting that the film was the most irresponsible bit of filmmaking he's ever seen. Majority of the two feuds came from the fact the actors couldn't decide which character should be the center of the film. With the two doing separate interviews about the film, Ford came out to say that for a second, Brad forgot for a minute he was talking to someone who was paid to write this stuff down. While the two were really excited to work with each other before the film started, it's sad to see that these great actors clash and let the worst get the best of them. Number 6, we have Mark Canton. Now, Harrison wasn't the only one who was said to had a feud with Brad Pitt while on the set of The Devil's Own. When Pitt claimed the film was irresponsible and that he couldn't believe how toxic the set was, news started to circulate that Pitt wanted to leave the film. That's when Mark Canton, the head of Columbia Pictures, had to threaten Pitt with a $63 million lawsuit that if he went through with the walkout, he was gonna sue him that. Mark even had to tell the actor that he didn't care and just to shoot something. While the filming was taking place, Pitt ultimately decided to avoid the lawsuit and stay on set. Number 5, we have Jennifer Aniston. Back in 1998, Jennifer and Brad were spotted on their first date, and by November of 1999, the two announced their engagement to the world, getting married on July 29, 2000. Despite both claiming they were madly in love with each other, ultimately they decided to file for divorce on March 25, 2005, as rumors started circulating that Pitt may have had an intimate relationship with co-star Angelina Jolie while on set of Miss and Mr. Smith. Just after the divorce, Aniston agreed to do an interview with Vanity Fair where she opened up about still mourning her marriage and she desired just to move on. Aniston explained that her relationship sadly came to an end when it cracked open that she was shown photos of Pitt and Angelina, and she was sad because Pitt and Angelina beforehand denied both the allegations that they were together. Since the pair split, the two since seem to have rekindled their friendship and have gotten close since Pitt divorced Angelina Jolie. Shia LaBeouf, coming in at number 4. When on set of Fury, Brad Pitt is said to had some tensions with the actor. Shia didn't play around when it came to his character for his parts of the film, and he was so committed to the role he wanted to bring justice to his character. The actor was so into character, he even had one of his front teeth removed and went days without showering. While Shia was determined to make an impression with his work on Fury, he may have rubbed off the wrong way towards Brad Pitt. With a lot of the tensions on set, Shia explained that him and Pitt actually ended up in a physical altercation where they were constantly butting heads throughout the filming process. Pitt has refused to talk about the feud and ultimately decided to praise the actor on his commitment to his work.
Number 3. Police body cam footage. A Hawaii police assistant chief recently admitted that Miller had been the source of 10 police calls in Hilo since March 7th, with complaints ranging from filming people at a gas station, traffic obstruction, and refusing to leave a restaurant. But police body cam footage has surfaced online, which really made the actor look terrible. In the video, one of the law enforcement officers is heard calling Miller sir, to which they respond, quote, "I'm sorry, I'm not a sir, I'm transgender non-binary. Please don't call me sir. If you fail to do that again, that is an act of intentional bigotry," and started citing US federal law. While asking police officers to identify themselves, the Flash star could be heard screaming requests for a full badge member and accusing the officers of touching their private parts, saying, quote, "I'm transgender, non-binary, and I don't want to be searched by a man." It was a fair request under the circumstances, but the video just made the actor look bad. Number 2. Harassment protection order. A mother and her child were granted a temporary harassment protection order against Miller in Massachusetts after alleging the actor behaved inappropriately towards the child and also brandished a weapon in a threatening manner. The Daily Beast's investigation reported that the family was at a downstairs neighbor's house on February 2nd, when Miller showed up reportedly wearing a bulletproof vest and started acting in a creepy manner towards the child. Miller allegedly told them, quote, "I've talked extensively with your child and they have a lot of power to them. At one point you're going to realize that you don't have any control over them anymore. They're an elevated being and they would be lucky to have someone like me guide them." The visiting neighbor told the outlet that Miller was especially focused on the child, allegedly pestering them with compliments, uncomfortably hugging them, and even touching their hips. When they were questioned about this, Miller reportedly blew up, opened their jacket to reveal a weapon, and started threatening everyone with it. Number 1. Cult behavior. In January, Chase Ionize accompanied Ezra Miller and his daughter, the now missing 18-year-old Indigenous activist Gibson Ionize, to Oakland, California, and claimed that the actor had also brought along 2 other young women, one known as Stella Marbles and the other was Mia Solange. While at a state park, Miller repeatedly told Chase that they believed themselves to be the second coming of Jesus Christ before pulling out a firearm. This really lines up with all their other cult-like behavior, as Gibson is not the only young person who seems to be caught in their spell. Miller has just about kidnapped Gibson and has been creeping on them since they were 12 years old. The Standing Rock Sioux Tribal Court has issued a protective order against Miller, whom they have accused of using violence and brainwashing to hold sway over the child. That is textbook cult behavior.